Hello, 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 everyone. How are you doing? Happy New Week, kind of ish. Tuesday, and it is freezing cold.
Yes, it is.
It is cold, and you know what? It's really not that cold, but it's just because that all winter we've not had a cold
Mm,
spell. Now it's like the cold is just affecting everything, and ugh,
yeah.
I don't like the cold.
Mhm.
To our viewers around the world, this is minus 100 in Edmonton, Canada. So thank you for coming on. This is the LCC Media Foundation. It feels like minus 100 is not um, minus 100, really is like minus 17 or 18, but it feels like minus 100. So it's really cool. For those of us, once again, around the world, our listeners, we thank you all for coming on. This is the Elnathan Show, sharing your stories with Elnathan on the LCC Media Foundation. LCC Media Foundation is tasked with providing life changing information to women and children to empower them to the goal that their life is bettered. Our life, together is better. Under the Social Media Foundation, we publish magazines. We have a online radio station. If you wanna, Capital City FM, Ladies Corner magazine, and we do a number of things also, but really information dissemination to the not to the aim that your life, my life, our lives together as a community is improved. So today, do we have a show for you? The art of the plan. The art of the plan. I have my trusted friend of the Wordy Smiles, Miss Bola.
Yeah, this man.
Also, like, people outside your smile is what keeps them looking. So I said they're not
Okay.
smiling for them. you know, I have my trusted friend Bola, and we want to talk about planning, the act of the plan. Does it just happen? You know, how do you get to what is your success story for 2021? Does it just happen? And I say this because Bola has a story, everybody's story, and I also have, I guess, stories in my own life. And I say this because we're trying to speak in a way that all of us are in this boat together. There's nobody, well, I don't know of anybody who has accomplished that height of success, that we're all still kind of sort of in this trying to reach that goal. And so the point of this show is to let's discuss, let's change the way we think, let's rethink our ideologies, our visions, so this 2021, we're talking about planning, the art of planning. Have you planned recently? Do you plan on planning? Have you planned? People say if you don't plan, you plan to fail. The failure to plan is the plan to fail. Sorry, what was that? The what do you know what that's the
And the failure to planning is you're planning to fail.
there's a lot of self-help
Mm.
things that they'll tell you, plan this, plan that. But I'm tired of hearing some things. You keep planning the plan is not coming, the money is not enough, the idea is there's disappointment left, right, and center. You just give it up. Anyway, Bola, tell me the story. Yeah, the one in charge of the stories tonight.
I think it's a common story, of two people who went to see, would I say seer now, to know what their future will be. And
Okay.
then person A is told his future is bright, person B is told he'll be poor. And then person B says, "Ah, I can't take it like that. Let me fight. And of course, puts plan, works hard, everything. And something comes out in life. But person A just says, "Ah, yes, they've said I'm going to be rich," and just crosses his hand, you know, and ends up being poor because, of course, he's not doing anything.
Yeah,
You
because they told you that you'll be great.
know. So it shows that it's not, you have to put work to whatever there is. And no matter what anybody says, once you put work to it, right, things would work out.
So I guess, well, yeah, I agree. And what you say, I should also it's everybody's story, really. Like when I was looking at stories that, I know and stories that I've received, I said, look, everybody's story. Let me tell you my own story. And we're going to discuss both. And even though people might say, that's such a simple, simplistic story, it's really not. Because when I look at the way that has transformed even my mentality, not that, of course, not in the same literal sense. So let me give you my example. And once again, I say without apology. So, two things. All my life, they've always told me, and I don't blame. I don't know who, like, I really don't know if I'm blaming anybody, but just saying all my life, they've told me, pay your tithes, tithe it, pay it, pay your tithe so you won't be tight, pay your tithe. Now, this is not an onslaught on tithing. I believe in tithing, it's not an onslaught on church. This is just saying, pay your tithe, 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 tithe. In fact, every time they want to fight in Christianity, tithe it, and they've started, the way I've assimilated that information is once you pay your tithe, You just have money just comes to you. Do you know what I mean? Like money just shows. Just the money just like somehow, the God will just open the windows of heaven, and the money will just drop like that. Pam, and you're rich, Or I mean, even just the fact that you go to university and they say go to primary school, you study, get 100 A's, and then after you get the A's, you go to secondary school, so then you get another, you pass it, and your parents are like, my daughter, she got all A's in the SSCE, she got all A's in the, I don't know what they do here, and then you go to university too, you're on the dean's list, okay, and then you finish, and then they say go you get a job, and they say you're already laughing, you're going to be rich. That is the part of wealth, and then you hear later people like Zuckerberg them that they didn't even. Abi, did he graduate high school? Is it Bill Gates?
I
Or
feel like
the
I feel like I
didn't
feel
graduate?
like degrees are the biggest fraud. Now, do I believe in degrees? Yeah. But I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and
Mhm.
this was our line of thought. Um, I'm tired of just going to school because you want to have a certificate, right? 2020 happened. I feel like we should be able to learn skills. Now, if it's going to be, there are skills that are mentally skills which you use your brain for. For example, Mark Zuckerberg, right? He built Facebook, or Bill Gates. They built something with their brain. Not
Mhm.
necessarily skills that it has to be carpentry or hairdressing, or
Mhm.
there are skills that people will build things with their minds,
Yeah. Mhm.
So, but I feel like, is it that in going to school, all we just learned was the theory? There was no practicality to it. That 2020 happened, and then we could not just say, you know what, let me think outside the box. What can I do now?
Well, that
So
is
I feel very much like, so these certificates that we're gathering and gathering and gathering.
well. well, So, to the purpose of why did we go gather the certificates? If I
So
bring
if someone does not come up to open an office to employ you, what will you do?
Well, that's the thing. The purpose. I'm going to see. I get what you're saying. So this is how the story works of how it applies to our planning issue. How they've just said if you pass, you get a job, you get money. And so there was no way for me to have planned anywhere else to make money because it was supposed to come from my job.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I mean? Or
I
that
hear you.
if I pay tithes, the money will just show. Until I went and listened to
From
people, and they said, "Do you have structures to receive the money that?" I said, "What structures again? I've been paying it, and and this has been the belief that I've had for years. And you know how many people are going about with the same belief that if you just go to school, you get money, or if you just pay your tithes, money will show. And I'm using money because everybody, of course, or that the whole idea that you shouldn't be chasing money for the rest of your life. The money should be used as a tool, so that way
yeah,
how many
yeah.
of us have lived our lives? Do you understand? And
Mm.
coming back to the issue of certificates that we gain, because of course, so people come again to Canada, and I'm a big believer in recertification. If you come to a place you don't have skills, go get the skills. I believe in that.
Skills, not certificates.
Well,
Now, the
some
skills might this certificates might be attached to the skill, but what I feel like is whatever we're doing, let's be intentional about it. Don't just go and do something because you want to do it. Be intentional. What do you plan to get out of it?
Well, the other thing is that they tell us that if you go get this, if you look at any of these colleges now, they'll tell you if you come to this one, they will in the next first 5 years, you'll be making six figure, and then they're not telling you.
How?
Well, that's the thing now. That's the how that the information is not quite there. And once again, I'm bringing back. We're talking about planning, the art of the plan, right? And so you go read this and you go, if I go do this degree or whatever it is, or 2 year diploma, I'm going to be making this, I'm making that, I'm making this, I'm making that, and then you just do it, and you're thinking that the plan is get it done, and then once you get it done, you acquire a specific body of knowledge in that degree, and then you make money, or your life is settled, or
So
this.
I feel like, well, in it's now the onus lies on you to do the job. What is the job? I want to get a certificate. You should think it through or do a research on how you're able to convert whatever you're planning to get into money. That's Not
So then
just saying,
how do you develop? So somebody's giving us a comment. Thank you, Nina King. She says, or he says, I think it's she says she says a good plan is very important. But the point is, how do we plan this plan? How do we, because a lot of us have lived our lives without giving it a planning process. And I mean that without due respect to everybody out there. Sometimes we just do things, sometimes we don't go. Like, what exactly goes into a plan? Because it's not just, is it just sitting down and just writing 10 lists, plan, because we've done that. Have
Mhm.
done that. Let me not say we. Me, I know I've done. Like I said last week, by January 6th, I've already written my 10 list, so that I'll be 10 rows to $1 million, and then by February 15th, I'm irritated that I couldn't even pass, 10 days of it. So my thing is, what goes into the art of the plan? I guess, what should people know? What should I know about planning? What does the planning process entail? I guess that's the point, because obviously the information we are receiving from mainstream wherever is not granular enough to tell you in plain terms that going to school doesn't translate to money,
No.
or um, or paying your tithes necessarily doesn't give you cash, or that wealth that is not earned is not sustainable. A lot of people are looking for a lot. Did you get an alert? And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way, but some of us have lived our lives based on this willing, not willing, but this it can happen. I'm expecting, and so the question is, can your desire give you the required result? Is it enough to just hope and desire?
Well, let's go back to planning. I feel like first things about planning is we should not look at planning as this big thing, right? Simple
Mm.
things. So you're planning as a family person. You're planning as a what? Single person. You're
Mhm.
planning as a business person. You're planning as a worker. What are you planning for? Because let's not make it seem as if planning has a dollar sign to it or a currency sign to it. Planning necessarily does not have to do with only money. In fact, I prefer when planning planning is much more than money, because you had mentioned that making sure, or getting your mindset to think as making money a tool, which is what it is anyway. It should be a tool to get you to where you want to go to. So, for example, someone says, okay, this year I want to go back to school. Why? I want to change my field, or I want to do something different. In my in some people's minds eye, the first thing that comes to them is, how do I get money for school fees? I don't think that's the first thing, because there are so many ways to go to school. There's scholarship,
If you,
there's grants, right?
Mhm.
There are so many things to do. I feel like the first thing to do is, okay, so why am I even going to, why do I want to go to school? Instead of first concerning yourself with the price tag to it.
So you're saying plan with the visualization of your end goal in mind.
Yes.
Is that the way you're looking at it? I don't
Yes.
think there's the one
What
side.
is the
Mhm.
what is the ultimate thing you want to achieve? Right. That's what I think.
Okay. Okay, I get that. So that's how you plan. So if you're starting a business now, you're planning to be successful. Nobody starts a business with the aim to fail. Well, then are there
Oh yeah.
specific things you do? And I mean general things. Every plan, of course, is still different. Right? Do you need many plans for, like, for example, in my life, for example, how many plans do I have? Is it just one general master plan, or there are plans in every aspect? Because that's not something I'm curious about. You find a lot of people who are very good and gifted in one area, but then in the other part of our life, they have zero knowledge, or so you find somebody who is very, very, very nice and kind, but then nothing in his life shows joy. He's maybe poor, his family is in disarray, and so you begin to wonder, how is such a nice man, very nice, very this person, nice, kind, and then all this is happening to him. So then, do you have the one master plan, or do you then have multiple plans, or like, I'm just curious, like, what, I guess my point is to make us think about these aspects of our lives. I was reading a story today, not this week, and he was talking about how Serena Williams and Venus Williams, that their dad, I believe, or their dad would take them out as early as age 7 or 9 years old to start practicing. Now, did the man know that his daughters were going to be world athletes at the time? Was that the plan when he took them there, or was it just because they loved it?
If you ask me, I'll say he probably knew. He probably was working towards it.
So he groomed them for the
Mm-hmm.
success.
Yeah. So
So,
in grooming, if that was the main aim, the first thing that'll come to his head, most likely. So, for example, yes, let's use that case now. He sets out to say, you know what, since they like the sport, maybe something can come out of it. Let me encourage them.
okay.
Now, the first thing that I want us to see is that it's not the dollar sign to it. What are the easy steps that I can take? What are the easy steps to take, right?
The dollar
The
sign is
easy steps. Sorry?
the dollar sign is the motivator.
But the dollar sign is still very foul.
But it's a motivation. What will be the point
It's
of the discipline and the sacrifice of the planning if at the end of the day there's nothing to receive for it? Are we ever learning? Never truly coming to knowledge of the truth.
Well, the truth about it is, yes, the dollar sign. I'm not now saying that we should disregard it, but at the same time, that shouldn't be the center of what we are doing. At least that's not the center for what I'm doing or what I will be doing for myself, right? Now, I can't speak for him,
Okay.
right? If I had children if my children show interest in a particular sport, of course, whatever I'm training my children or whatever way I'm training, I want for them to be responsible, right? Now, responsibility means so many things to different people. I know what it means to me. Okay. And so, because of what it means to me, there are certain things I will do, right? So, and then for some other person, responsibility means making millions. For some other person, responsibility means being, yes, the millions might come, but at the same time, making certain or living a certain kind of life.
Because I hear you, because when I look at the way, even look, if you digress into child training, and even when you have parents, have you actually sat down to plan the life of your child? And when I look at that, a lot of us subscribe to to the African, and I don't know if it's African necessarily, but to the, that this is how my parents did it, so it must be right. And I cannot challenge that thought process. I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. And so then we throw away the plan that says this child is a different, unique child, and we just do what our parents did. And so then there's no concerted effort. There's no planning. Nothing has been done. Do you know why? Nothing. No plan. They are just doing it. This is how we do. But then I'm looking at parents, I'm looking at children, I'm realizing that there are some parents who are actually taking out a notepad and writing a future map plan, guiding that child to a successful child in every step, in every angle, and I'm just curious, do people think this way? Is this, should people think this way? Should people start doing these things, Should we start writing out those plans?
For children, definitely we're their guidance, we're their custodians, right? For now, we're supposed to guide them, but I don't see how I would map out a child's future. That's the truth. But
now,
as of now, I can direct them, I can help them, I can.
Cultures where they actually pick the spouses, plan the spouses for their children, those marriages actually, contrary to opinion, last longer because an adult, and I know that can go that which one. I'm not saying we should do it, and I'm not saying to plan. No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying because no, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that because you see, somebody has studied out, looked at it, planned it, guided your future into that successful, um, um, into that successful space, as opposed to being in a situation where we're just kind of, if it happens, it happens. If I marry, if I don't, if I make money.
No, we don't leave everything to no.
You know what I'm trying to. So I guess,
no.
How do we plan? Are we thinking of planning? I guess I keep saying this to to our viewers or listeners who are listening wherever they may be all over the world, early morning, late night, like here. That look, are you planning? Are you actively planning? What is an active plan?
An active plan, with the word active, what comes there for me is flexibility. So you're moving forward and then you're able to go back to the drawing board to say, okay, this is what we have planned. Well, it's not going this way. Let's go back to think, how can we go about it? How can we achieve the goal? What is the goal?
Yes. Okay.
What is the goal?
What is it? What is your 2021 success story? I guess that's what What is the goal? How are you
What is the
going to
goal?
have-
At least from 2020, we now know that the goal, or we should now know that the goal is not just.
I have a question for you. Somebody has given us a comment. The plan, once again, thank you, Nina King. The plan has to have a how to start, how to execute, and how to make the best of the outcomes. Okay, I like that. How to start. What goes into the starting? Have you counted your costs? You know,
Yeah.
have you done the
Hmm.
research?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
have you looked at everything? Have you turned over every rock
And
that
that takes
you
time.
found? I mean,
I,
that's
I don't
I
I don't feel like we should do it with, oh, I have to be done in 2 days. I have to be done
there's also that
by
time.
January 1st. No.
Mhm.
Because even if you do it up until June, we are not living, your life is not stopping in December. It rolls up to, you're still going on, right?
But every year they change what the year should be. Last year was the year
You
of
shouldn't change. No,
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 this year
no.
is not the
So
year of
what you're
every
saying is that
years
you're
we change
giving,
our year.
no, no. You are giving the power of decision over your life to someone else. This day, you are giving it to this day that you have talked about now. Why should you give that power to anybody, right? If you by yourself put thought to it and say, this is the goal, I'm not sure there's anybody or any institution that has the time to individually sit with each of us to say, okay, what is your goal? Okay, let us work. No. So if you're starting out by June, and say for example, someone decides, okay, 2021, I want to go back to school,
Mhm.
and the school year starts September. Of course, you have to wait till September for that to go. Not wait, but you're doing other things. And by September, it starts. Are you going to stop in December because by January, another goal should start? No.
Okay. I mean, I suppose I mean I hear you. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I guess this year I'm coming to the realization that some things that I have left personally to just set happenstance, or that I just assume will settle itself, or that I just assume will
Mm-hmm.
just happen, actually doesn't quite happen like that, and that I
Mm-hmm.
need to make a concerted effort to make
Yeah.
sure that these things happen. There's a finite body of knowledge for anything I want to accomplish. And that is
Mm-hmm.
what I realized that I've not thought about. I've just thought, snap people all over the place. I don't consider myself super smart, and I don't consider myself super dumb. I think there's a nice middle that I am in there. But you'd
Mm-hmm.
imagine somebody who has gone to school, read a few books, will be able to decide, wow, you actually need to plan. You actually need to sit down and decide that this can happen.
And like I said,
You know?
this school,
And I don't
I
know.
was thinking of it.
Use
School
use
school sometimes is even it can stand as an obstacle for us. Sometimes
yeah.
we just feel like, school. But see people that are street smart. I feel like the big thing has to be we should be on the streets, like because you see some guys, they're able to move because, well, they don't have the degrees to fall back on, so they know, what, I have to be on my feet.
But is that planned though? When they just have to go like, but they're not
Not
planned.
go 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 go. They
But
are,
the so the plan is, I get what you're saying, like,
so because
just
because they don't do it, so now planning, I don't think that there's one way to plan. I don't feel
yeah,
like
that's
there's one way that it has to be pen and paper, sit down. Some people will plan their year 2021 without writing anything on paper. And I don't feel that because some people write it on paper, it's now better than some other people. Everybody knows what to work for
there's
them,
no judgment. Yeah.
So I think the first step is even knowing yourself,
And how things work for you.
what works for you, right? For some people, you have to write it down and then break it down. And then, but for some other people, they are able to, I don't know, I'm not those people, but I feel like they're able to just have a map and picture in their head.
And I think a lot of planning also entails collecting yourself from everybody that you've put yourself under. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes we've put our
Explain.
sometimes we put our mind and our thought processes on different areas, thinking that that person's got me, or that idea, that that person has my back, or this is how they did it, this is how I should do it, or I should listen to that advice. And just, this, I'm not saying don't listen to advice. I'm not saying don't have mentors and this or that. But I'm saying that there are times when you actually have to sit down and figure it out yourself.
I don't think there's any one time where you should live your life for public or for opinion or advice from it. If people advise you, fine, go back to your quiet place and listen, think about it, pray about it, do whatever you have to do with that information.
But that's the point. I'm
But
saying, that subconsciously, we give ourselves to people, like, you have maybe marriages where the mother-in-law, the mother is there, and they're like, I don't, we can't do this because my mother is around. And so you kind of hinder your own plans based on somebody else's authority in your life. And I'm not saying, once again, don't submit, don't bow, but I'm saying that what is the happy medium between being a person of your own, with all due respect, and being able to figure out things and make a plan for your life, and as opposed to, say, listening to somebody's direction for you. And I might be contradicting what I said earlier, but I'm just saying,
yeah, I'm not, yeah, because
I'm just saying, like,
I'm trying to, wrap my head around
have you ever been able,
what kind of plan will I not be able to plan because
okay, for example, you want to go back to school now, and somebody
Mhm.
says, no, 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 like, you have a mentor, and they say, I don't think school is for you now, don't go to school. You know?
Why?
Well, because they just don't feel this for you at that point in
Oh
time.
no, then that's not a good conversation.
Well, but those are,
If we do
I
not
know
think there should be a why, and then we should sit down and discuss, right? Truth be told, it might
even
not
if they
just be
give
time.
you
It
a
might
vibe.
not just be good time. See, it's not by going to school. It might not just be a good time, which is the truth, right? So, why are you saying what you're saying? So, for example, if someone says, "I want to go to school, I want to go to Harvard, 50K," and someone says, "Bolali, calm down. Don't, if you're going to get a student loan for 50,000, this is happening in your life right now. That is happening in your life right now. This is happening in your life right now. I don't think this is a good time for you to make this kind of decision.
I
Have you
guess
thought of certification?"
what I'm saying is, there are some people in your life that you feel under obligation to obey. Do you have people like that in your life where you feel like, you know, you are just under
Well,
obligation
people that
to them, and so
I am,
they have a
will I
say
use the
kind of
word
in your life.
obligation? People that I respect their opinion. The reason why I respect their opinion is because of that word respect. Over
Mhm.
time,
The view
I
to,
have seen that in the small, we've grown from small decisions to big decisions. In the small decisions, I've seen that whatever counsel they've given me
as well.
has had my interest. So sometimes people give you counsel and it's nobody, we are all humans, we are all on this earth.
So then,
It might not work out. But when I know that this person has my interest at heart, you know.
and then, okay, I'm just, looking for
So
it,
I would definitely will respect your opinion.
but you don't have to take it.
I don't
Yeah.
think I have to take
Because I
no.
don't know. I'm just looking for
No,
something.
so if I respect your opinion, and that's why I said if I respect your opinion, over time we have grown to get to this point where I
How
now
much power
respect
do
your
they have
opinion.
over you to hinder your plans, to hinder the things you're planning on doing? How much power do they have over you?
So even in the plans that I am taking, definitely I need counsel. So sometimes that's the information you need, right? Sometimes you don't know everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people might tell you things that will be like, oh, will open your eyes to. So I might decide to want to do this now, for example. And then say, for example, now I want to. Okay, so for example, I'm in the finance field. I woke up one day and say, you know what? I want to write this exam. I want to do CFA.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm having a conversation with someone that I respect and say, this is the next thing I want to do. Okay, so let me even use myself as an example. So I was thinking of writing the exams, and I subscribed to one lesson,
Mm-hmm.
and the prof there is, I don't need to mention his name. Anyway, his introductory class was very clear. If you do not plan to work in this field, XYZ field, if you do not plan to do this, then this exam is not for you.
Oh,
That's counsel, right? And
I'm
that
not
took me
talking,
back.
I'm not talking about this thing. I know what you're saying. What I'm trying to say is, look, we come from an African community, an African, background, or here that somehow I find that I have sometimes. Let me use me once again, for example. I've cluttered myself or found myself in a place where, when it's time to make a decision, when it's time to plan something that I want to do, I listen. I'm kind of, my hands are held back. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm not able to do that. And I wonder.
I don't know what you mean, but
Okay, fine.
if I was going to explain for myself, I
Let's
don't think
do
I would
that
put
then.
myself in that
Can you?
place
Well,
where
excuse
I
me.
would receive your counsel, I would receive
Uh,
your advice, but I always like to be in a place where I ultimately I'll sit with myself and think about it. What
okay,
you have said, does it make sense?
okay,
Is it okay? Does this person have my interest at heart?
okay,
Is this thing they've said, is it moving me forward? You know.
okay.
And by the time I'm at that point, I'm like, okay, so that if tomorrow anything happens, what I do not want is to feel like, oh, and this person said, ultimately, I'll feel like,
You're a
well,
stronger person than me. I'll tell you that much. Or
it happened to me, it happened to me.
there are times when there are times when there are times when we've we've had to kind of step down from what we wanted to do based on the fact that we've listened to other counsel. But let me move on. Let's not. I don't know if I've made a good point about the question that I'm asking.
Mm.
So, can we hinder ourselves? Can we hinder ourselves for proper planning? Like, let's leave everybody out there. Everything is on you now. Like, so you're starting your year out. You're
Mhm.
sitting down. You're prayerfully considering it. Meditating of the things you want to do. Can you hinder yourself? Can you be unrealistic in your plans? What is an unrealistic?
Yes, I feel like that's the beginning of the plan. It's always very unrealistic.
Realistic. Yeah,
Plus,
what is can you be unrealistic? Because there are times when you start, you put a plan down and you say, I'm going to read 5 books a month because I want to increase in my literacy or my knowledge base. Is that an unrealistic plan?
it depends on the person. I
My
don't know.
point, I know, yeah, I
I want to
agree,
answer
but
for the person.
I can't. It's not a question, but I'm saying, to once again to
Oh yes,
agree.
you can be realistic in your plans, and
This
that's
whole
why sometimes after you've made your plan, it's always good to sit and think about it, ask questions, research. So for example, I wake up and say I want to make sure that I have 5 certifications this year or 10 certifications this year,
just leave that matter.
or 20 certifications this year. That won't work,
So, but then
right?
what is the medium between being effective, being productive, and just being lazy? Because there's got to be that medium where you push yourself for success, and when you're like, because you can also get into, it's too hard. Nobody's chasing me. Let me just calm down. This world, then let me just be good. Some of these things we do to hurt ourselves when we justify and rationalize our ineffectiveness. Let me just watch one more binge watch one more episode
you
of
so the truth about it
I
is
don't know
you
what's.
you know yourself, and you know when you're lazy. So it's good to tell yourself the truth. Don't even wait for someone outside to tell you the truth. Just be
Some
truthful
people are
with
not
yourself.
objective. I've seen people who are really not objective. Anyway, the whole point of this is that the art of the plan, right? For our people who are listening out
Mhm.
there, Social Media Foundation, Taya Elnathan Show, I want you to know that it is important to plan your life. Success doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
There's no luck that just, even if the person was a bad person, they planned on being bad. Do you understand what I mean? If you were
Mhm.
notorious, the worst people in the world, you know, planned it. If you look at the terrorist cells, all over the world, there's a planning, there's a mechanism that goes there. It's not, it doesn't just happen. And I guess I cannot say this enough because I know people, I have been a victim of this whole idea of, I'll just wait, we'll see what happens. I know somebody, if you ask them, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 2-year plan? You want to kill them. That's just death to their self-esteem. Because to them, they don't believe planning past one day is they don't believe that planning past one day is effective. They just feel as God takes me. And I wonder, how can you live like that? Should you live like that? Should you live without a plan? I understand that um, plans can change because you know what? There are times when you're in your life where you can't plan. You have an immigration issue, you're stuck. you're in a bad marriage, you can't move, you have no money in your bank account, you have all the plans in the world to do the best things, but you just don't have the resources. There are times when you can't plan, or maybe there are times when you need to change the scope of your plan. Maybe I should say, as opposed to, but I know there are times when you're in situations where it's a bit desolate and you feel, and I say this to anybody out there once again who is listening, it's not like I get you, I understand you. This is not, I attended a conference one time and it was this woman and she was saying, women, you need to, empower yourself. You need to read. You need to learn. And, she went as far as to say, oh, you know what? Women, do not hide behind your children. I have 6 children and I was still able to accomplish a PhD. And I'm like, and for days I was tuning in my mind that I was underachieving. I was nobody. I didn't have purpose. Then I realized that life is a continuum. The fact that she has the PhD with 6 children does not mean I can't have a PhD with 6 children. But maybe it's not right, not just right now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Maybe just not now. Maybe I can wait. But sometimes we are a bit insensitive when we say all these things also in terms of you need to plan, you need to make a goal, you need to push yourself, you need to succeed, you need to do this 10 steps to greatness, 10 steps this. And I'm not contradicting myself. I really am not. I'm just saying that I guess the takeaway is, life doesn't just happen. You have
No.
to plan it. You have to make a plan. And whatever that plan looks like for you, it's for you. You're going to have to sit down and do the work, do the legwork, do the process. There's a process. There's a lot of process. You start at year 1 in university, you finish at year 4. You don't, or it doesn't, you're not lucky if you graduate. It's because you studied for the exam. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not lucky if you pass the class. It's because you studied. There's no luck in process. You actually have to do the work. Yeah. Actually have to do things. I think I lost Bola. Well, I want to say thank you to Bola. I'm not sure what has happened, but I think we lost our feed. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been able to watch us. I appreciate it for you coming on. It's been a good evening. This is the Elnathan show, LCC Media, on the LCC Media Foundation platform. If you want to contact us, please do so. Send us an email, like us on Facebook. Let us know your comments and thoughts. This is 2021. We're trying to plan our year, the art of the plan. Very soon, I roll out the plan for this show for the new year. But I want to say thank you all for coming on, and hope to see you next week. We have so many things I'd like to discuss. We'd like to discuss lots of stories. Share your stories with us. Humanize us when we have our stories. We can learn from each other. We can learn. You can help us shine a light to our lives. And my final thing is value moment. And the value moment we have for today is, or for this week is, you only grow by the knowledge you have. So if you have a great knowledge base, you're only going to grow or succeed by the knowledge you have. And I think it's very sobering to think that a lot of us have not acquired knowledge or don't even know that we need to acquire the kind of knowledge that we need. If you look at a doctor goes to pre-med and then they go to med school and they do residency and they have 7 years of concerted knowledge, dedicated, directed knowledge to their life. And then they become a doctor and we call them Dr. This. And then they can treat human beings. You look at an accountant, they take the CPA. You look at a nurse, they go to nursing school. You look at a lawyer, they go to law school. And so that's all knowledge based. And to the extent of the knowledge that they get is to the extent how they rise. So when you look at your life, are you acquiring the knowledge specific to the growth you're looking for? It's not enough to plan. So next week, we're going to dive into knowledge and talk about stories of how knowledge can help, how too much knowledge or no knowledge at all, or non-dedicated knowledge, if that's a word, non-dedicated knowledge can affect you or not affect you. Well, once again, this is Tayo. Elnathan on the Elnathan show, sharing your story with Elnathan on the LCC Foundation platform. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on. To all our supporters, I really, really thank you. And this is it for me tonight. God bless you all. Have a great week. And everything you heard tonight, of course, has also been by the inspiration of the Spirit of the living God. If you want to know him, inbox me. God bless you all. Thank you very much.